So you guys were formed originally by yourself and I think it's you twos.
The three of us.
Yeah, back in 2014.
Yeah.
Yep.
In faction. With you two guys coming in about 2016.
I was 2016. You were earlier than that one.
I think I was 2015.
Yeah, 2015.
Yeah, I was 2015. It was 2016.
So obviously aimed at you three. What were the motivation behind getting Black Falcon off the ground?
It came out of the death of a former band called Old School Enemy. Me and Johnny had been in that. Well, we've been in a band before that as well, haven't we? We've been in bands for like.
We've been working together for close to about 15 years.
And then we had a band called Old School Enemy, which were alright, but as bands do, they finally started to crumble and stuff like that. And then Rich came in, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
And then
the other two, Dave and Luke, who were the bass player and drummer at the time, they have sort of quickly kind of left, really, didn't they? They sort of felt it wasn't for them anymore.
Just decided that's about the time to start again.
Yeah, at that point it was like that, scrap everything, give ourselves a new name. And then we started again, so that's when Liam came in with another drummer. And that went for about a year. How long? About a year?
Yeah, about a year, 18 months, wasn't it?
Yeah. And it chugged. It didn't do anything, to be honest, much. It chugged along. We got an EP
out of it, yeah.
And then when Lee came, after the other drummer left, it kind of then started taking off from there. And that's when we started doing another EP, and then we got signed, and then we got the album out, and it kind of took wings. Took off. It's like a falcon.
Oh, you fucking
So what's the meaning, or what's the thinking behind Black Falcon? And is there any reference anywhere? Or is it just
Right, okay. Because we had this chat.
Yeah.
Because we had this thread once of like literally naming as many band names as we could, trying to find a name, and they're all just shit. So I don't know why someone sent me a picture of a Lego Black Falcon, a Lego Millennium Falcon in black. And that was it. From there.
I did point out that there was a guitar called the Black Falcon by a company called Gretsch, but that made it all the more awesome, didn't it? But even now, like if you try and search Black Falcon, you're immediately going to find pictures of this Gretsch.
And that warehouse after Boston bombing.
That's it, yeah.
That's what I thought the name came from. Somebody's talking that.
No, yeah.
Really? Yeah, they used the warehouse in after Boston bombing and reconstruct it all, and they called it some of the Black Falcon factory or something like that, and that's what I thought your name from.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I didn't realise it was Lego.
Yeah, Lego Star Wars.
No, to be honest, the reality is because it's named after a majestic bird of prey that stealthily stalks through the night and can hide in the shadows and hunt its prey.
You're not nocturnal.
like Toothless.
Yeah, it's like a fucking dark shadow.
It wasn't one of them names that just like happened though, wasn't it? Because like we'd been in a group chat.
It lasted about a month.
Weeks on end. How about this? No. How about this? No. And we were kind of getting to end of us tether with it, and then Dave just come up to Mercer and just went, all right, and we all went, yeah.
It just worked. It had everything in it that we wanted, didn't it? It was metal enough to be kind of, I say metal, but it was metal enough to kind of like get us out of that standard rock band phase that we were in sort of with Old School Enemy, because we were just a rock band.
But not metal enough so it looks like
We're
your
dying.
name's like a load of sticks.
Yeah.
On the floor.
They put sticks on the floor. Oh, that name.
It had that
Scribbled on the wall.
It had that.
It
It had that southern rock, almost stoner vibe to it as well at the same time. So we had, but it was still contemporary enough to kind of stand on its own. So we were able to.
Yeah, it sounds like a Leonard Skinner.
We were able to bridge a few gaps with it. It was, I was happy with it. It's all encompassing. Yes.
That's your band name. Volvo.
So obviously, like you just said, with the vibes that it kind of encompasses, that plays along with your hard rock.
Pretty much. Yeah. I think it's one of those things. I think if you hear the name, you can kind of probably guess what we're about.
It's like pot whiskey, Pontiac Firebirds, loud.
Old Gibsons.
Strippers.
Old drummers.
It's middle of the road. It's not so hard as to be Decimator. Right? But it's not so light enough to be like
Scattered for Girls.
Pop punk.
Johnny Bezza and the
and the
Stones.
Stones.
Pops.
And
And the pop-pops.
some shitty tweed indie band from Manchester.
That's the next video.
Johnny Bezza and the
Pop Pops. Black Falcon and the Pop Pops.
Trademark it.
Richard just got punched in Dave's mind.
I played the record, which we will touch upon later on, a couple of times today, and from the first track I was getting quite a stoner vibe, and then obviously it rolls into more of a, I don't want to say Foo Fighters vibe in case that puts people off, but there's
No, we're quite happy with that analogy.
Certainly getting that from your vocal melodies and stuff, but then there is a lot more to the sound. It's
There's a lot of crosses. I mean, it does start off. White Pop Gods does start off with that stoner vibe, but nowhere we didn't really want to go down in that stoner genre. We are, you know what I mean?
But when you listen to like a lot of the hard rock that you're hearing today, if you were to distort those riffs a little bit more, or with your pedals or whatever, you would have like a full-on stoner. But by cleaning it up a touch, you've got the hard rock thing. So
it's right. We do fit in that bracket, and we've had the Foo Fighters comparison.
A lot, actually, haven't we?
A lot. All right. Yeah, we've had the Foo Fighters, but I'm especially like with the vocals. It's like they kind of you do use that Dave Grohl trick where you'll go from like low to high octave halfway through a chorus or something like that, and with that same tone. So it's that comparison. Who else has been compared to? Monster Truck. Orange
Goblin.
In parts,
in parts. But like then again, you listen to the Living in Me EP that were released prior to this. We got a lot of people saying, "Oh, this definitely like," as well as the kind of generic, well, not generic, but that kind of hard rock thing. People were also noticing sort of things that were a little heavier, like Stone Sour stuff, like the newer Stone Sours at the time, like the first House of Golden Bones album and stuff like that. So it was accessible, but it was still heavy enough to have that. It was still a little bit, don't show it to your grandma,
I think on Living in Me there were a lot of references to Clutch as well, weren't there?
Tons, absolutely.
So with the EP and the single, were there opportunities to kind of iron out things that you'd been sat on before coming together to write an album?
The EP was just a first step, wasn't it? We just knew it was the logical thing to do when you start a new band. Maybe when you've got a much bigger budget, you've got a much bigger name, and you're a lot more established, and you've got a major label behind you. Certainly to just go straight away with the record. But from an unsigned perspective, the logic is just to get started with, especially when you've got people that you've not been working with before. It's just to go straight ahead with an EP, and then that gives you the framework then to kind of build on. As different as that and the album is, it's still giving us that kind of that stepping stone to start working on stuff.
So was the EP something that you kind of been itching to do from your previous band?
I think it's like I said, it is something like you need to get your music recorded and out there for people to start hearing you, to push your profile out there to show people what you're about. So your EP is kind of like a calling card, but it's the same as the album really though, which is a lot bigger, you know what I mean? But I think when you do the EP and stuff like that, you get to work each other in the studio as well, so you can see how each other works in that respect as well. So it wasn't just a calling card, it's a starting point, to be perfectly honest.
The songwriting then, now that you've got as a 5-piece, a couple of years under your belt together, was it something that you'd had put bits together beforehand, or was it a conscious decision?
All happens now that you room, doesn't it?
Yeah. So unlike, some bands work a different way where they'll have one person who writes the full song. I'll come in here and write, here's the song, you play that, you play that, you play that, you sing that. And we've never ever worked in that way. It literally is, we can start off with a simple riff, even a drum beat, a bass line, anything. To be honest, it never starts with vocals. Vocals always come at the end. But it starts with a spark of an idea, it gets jammed, it gets played, it gets messed about with. And if by a certain point you think there's something really good coming out of this, you start expanding it. Then when it's all done, the kind of I'll come in with the vocals and lay them on top. Personally, from my perspective, if I feel something's really fucking working, and it's like, there's a really good vibe to that, you know what I me, then yeah, we'll start putting vocals to it. But if it's going along and I'm thinking, you know what I mean, it sometimes gets brushed off, doesn't it?
Yeah. The general rule of filming this band is something that we've kind of tried to hold on to as best we can. Is that either we all five do it or we don't do it. So that's part of the benefit of working all together in one room together. So starting with the very bare bones of something, and it all begins with a riff or a bass line or a drum beat. Or a lot of times, a riff has come from Dave just going, "Oh, it should sound like dead," and he'll just make a noise with his mouth.
I can't play any of that.
It's like we got that heavy bit in One False Move. We're like, how do we get out a guitar solo?
Great example.
And Dave goes, it probably needs to go a bit like, and then we went, well, like this, and
so the songs flesh out that way. And
it flows pretty well, though, doesn't it?
It flows well. It has its disadvantages and disadvantages, because one of the harder parts about it is getting everyone to like what you're doing. So working at something, and sometimes songs can take weeks or months, and other times songs have taken an evening. You know, we've just got them straight out. So, well, at the base level without vocals, because vocals they generally tend to come about a week or so afterwards, after all the instrumentation is finished, and even then the actual arrangement of it is likely to change based on what Dave, feels the direction it needs to go in to kind of suit what he's got in mind for either a melody or just lyrically.
That's the thing, we can always tell within about a week of us four of us will write a full song together musically. If Dave hasn't usually come up with something within that week, we always go, I bet he's not feeling it. And then sure enough, I don't think this way, we'll rearrange the song if we feel, if we go, right, this works but this doesn't. But then it's like we've got a mountain of songs that are all demos, and it is a case of, nah, it just doesn't work, does it? And
the thing is that mountain of demos.
They go the way.
The great thing about that mountain of demos is that a lot of bands would consider that to probably be their best work. But for us, we have a very, what we call the bullshit filter, and it's very high. So it is extremely high.
Yeah.
Low.
Above the bullshit bar.
Yeah,
the bullshit bar's high.
You've got to be like an ant.
Yeah.
The bullshit bar is high. So you've got to be, whatever idea comes forward.
As in a barometer.
Yeah, it has to be fucking good for it to get onto a record.
It's interesting that you describe the way that you put your songs together, because having listened to the album a couple of times today, seems to be certain things that almost like, yes, we'll have a riff, we'll have either a solo or a vocal hook in something that becomes like almost a focal point. But now that you're saying the vocals are added maybe a week later, it's strange how to hear that and to learn how you put it together, that is such a separate part, because I'm hearing in some songs where you've focused less on a riff or to the audio aspect of things, whereas your vocal becomes the riff in a way, it becomes that hook in
that's the thing. I mean, Dave's vocal melody, when he comes up with a melody, is so tuned to that, and I don't know whether it's the length of time that we've worked together, or whether it's just his experience of being in bands in general, because he's been doing this longer than I have. So it could have something to do with that, but it's all, like I said, it changed what Dave does when he comes to us with a melody and a vocal line, changes the atmosphere and changes the scope of the song almost entirely, to the point where you get goosebumps when you play it for the first time with vocals, because it's kind of like, this is like a different song now.
Well, you can always tell when Dave's brought his vocal melodies in and stuff like that, because we all just start grinning when we're playing it. It just fits and just finishes it off completely.
Usually it comes around about the chorus, and I'll look over at Liam and he'll be smiling at me, and I'll be just grinning at him, and then like Richard will have a big fucking orgasm face on, and
I'll be gurning.
He'll be gurning, and Dave will be like
scratching me head.
Well, what do you think?
His phone going, what lyrics did I write for this?
Is that okay? And we're like, well, yeah, it's perfect. Well done.
Because it's one of those great things as well, because like three of us have also been frontmen in bands before, so we've been able to write vocal melodies, so we're kind of in his heads we'll have an idea of what it will sound like, and Dave will go all opposite, and we'll go, fuck me, that's great.
So can we talk about the lyrics on this? Is there anything that thematically that runs from start to finish, or is each track an independent?
They're each an independent, so none of the tracks are put together to kind of tell any through running story or anything like that. The majority of the tracks are from like an omniscient point of view, literally talking about somebody. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like talking about somebody from like an outside perspective, as if you're like a godlike figure talking to somebody. But the themes in the themes in it actually do change. So like with something like 1-4 Smooth is about someone who's contemplating suicide, and it sounds like it's a dark thing, but it's one of those songs where you wanted to just bring it about, you know what I mean, bring some light to it. Whereas on the complete contrast, Release the Hounds is blatantly about tits. You know what I mean? So you've got like The Darkness of Suicide, you've got tits, and then another song like Pixel Queen is about a fella's infatuation with an online porn star.
I did actually figure that one out.
Yeah.
That's one of the more subliminal ones.
So there's nothing that really links them together, but like I said, I like kind of telling, if anything, I like telling stories about different people. You know, the person who's about to do that, the person who's got an issue with that, the person who's got an issue with that.
I love what you said with Reg's interview, in that it's kind of an interview with third person. If you're in front of the subject matter.
Yeah, I mean that's like the last Mustang, where you are sitting someone down and you're like God, you know what I mean, and you're interviewing them at like a grand table type thing. So it is as if you literally interviewing these people in each of the songs and finding out the life stories. So.
What's it been like on the road for Black Falcon in 2018?
Honestly,
hasn't really happened, has it?
Well, no. It's been a struggle for us as an underground band, particularly in what at one point would not have been considered a niche, but now almost is, because you see a lot of things propping up now. A lot of shows are very focused on one part of alternative music.
Yeah,
so
the genre.
Stoner of doom, metalcore, just straight up doom. Then you've got some sludge stuff happening, a lot of punk stuff. So it's things are not as segregated as they were, but they're just a little bit more difficult to penetrate. Particularly when you're a rock and roll band or a hard rock band, it does make things a little harder. We do pride ourselves on being accessible from as many points of view as possibly can. We want to be completely unavoidable, but it is a little difficult. But when we do go out there and when we do play shows, it's fucking brilliant. I mean, we've not played a gig so far, we've not had a bad reception. Fair enough, we played a show now and then that you're not going to look out and you're going to see a sea of people. Monday is a prime example. We played West Street Live, which is a great venue. We played that in Sheffield, and we played to on and off about 10-15 people all night. Still a great show, because the reception we got was fantastic.
Yeah, it was just a shame. It was just a shame 10 on a Monday night.
Yeah, it was just and the students had all gone home for Christmas. Yeah. So because it's quite a student area, so that's the biggest shame about that. But the reception we got from the people that were there was very good. And that's it. You know, we can't go anywhere and get a bad reception. So it is that's the fun part of it. But
we're all quite lively, including me when I'm sat down. We're all quite lively on stage and quite fun.
Yeah, exactly.
We like to have a laugh.
You're about to see, really.
Yeah.
I mean,
we do all have a laugh, don't we?
We've said it before that we're a band of 5 frontmen.
Yeah, and that's what we've always said, is that I've never been one of these where it's like I'm the singer, I'm the front man, I say everything on stage and everyone works for my cue. I hate that ethos. Like I said, it's a band with one singer, backing singers as well, but one lead singer, but in essence we have 5 frontmen. So I wouldn't ever think twice about Lee coming from behind his kit and saying something down the microphone. It's the same as Liam does, the same as Richard does, because you know what, we know we're all in it together and we all want a good time. And I like that camaraderie between everyone in the band and the crowd. I don't think that camaraderie should just remain with the front man. I think I don't know. I agree. I think the more personable the whole band is, I think the more likeable they become.
And it is fucking fun. When all 5 of us are in a car driving somewhere, it's fucking ace, isn't it? It's really funny. Yeah. The drive to Blackburn will be singed in my memory for the rest of my days.
Because obviously we're all Yorkshiremen, we're driving into Lancashire for the first time as a group, and all we can do is really just talk about how great Yorkshire is by comparison. me just sat in the back going, look, even the houses round here look sad. But even then we had a great time. And
Not to disenfranchise our Lancashire audience.
absolutely not. No. That's I was really like trying not to stand on a mine there. But we had a really good. No, to be fair, we played a place called the Charles Napier in Blackburn. That is probably one of the more memorable gigs that we've had because it was so much fun and there were a lot of fucking love in that room. It was really good and it was a really weird night because all the bands were very different. The headlining band were quite.
The headline band were effectively an Iron Maiden tribute band, really.
Yeah, they were fantastic.
They were really good.
So good. The band before us, I can't remember. I remember being impressed though.
Yeah, I think they were kind of like a pop punk band, but they were a very good pop.
They were tight as they were tight as a cat's cock hair next to fuck all. They were very good, but they were really entertaining. And we went on, and the audience were fantastic. They'd never heard of us. And they never had any experience with this whatsoever, and they were really into it, and they got really involved with us. So that was so much fun.
We're kind of going to have to let Flex Bison go on now.
Got picked up by the MSH music group quite early on. Now you're quite different to everybody else that's on that bill.
Yeah, you're telling us.
That's the thing. We're gigging off a gig from MSH tomorrow night, and we are the lightest thing on that.
We are honestly the least calorically heavy thing on the menu.
We're probably like a chicken salad.
The chicken salad at a carvery, or the vegetarian option at a carvery.
That's why
even though we look like a fucking overweight
No, you bullied him.
Yeah, I did.
To be fair, the four of you just went.
We played a show that the label had set up for one of the other bands on the roster, and it was their album launch, and there was us, and there was us and the other bands and their girlfriends and the label at this venue, and that was it. It was dead. But it was great. It was great fun.
Perhaps not big fucking killer.
Yeah, but it was still a great show because the people that were there were very receptive to it.
Did you say apart from that big pillar study from
Pillar, Dave, did you hear that?
But there were people there that just they were really into it. So we had a really good show with everybody.
Yeah, and the weird thing is the band that we were supporting, the label dropped them. I don't know how long after.
But we basically we spoke in the smoking area afterwards about it. And said, "Oh well, we should, you don't ask, you don't get." So we sent Dave to go. We sent Dave to go bully Shane, the label rep, and I said, "We got signed the morning."
I tried a couple of months before because I have a different affiliation with Shane, and I tried a little bit before. It was on I think it was on Facebook, and he said, "No, I'm posting on behalf of something else." It was a completely different thing, and I was alright, dude, no worries. And then he messaged me out of the blue, "You're in a band, are you?" And I said, "Yeah, we've spoken about this." He goes, "Oh, do you fancy a gig down in Birmingham?" I said, "Yeah, fucking let's do it." And it was like, and then when we asked him, and Shane kind of went, "Oh yeah, I'll sign you." I was like.
But I think it was more of a case. It was more of a case of Dave looming over this poor guy and just going, "You're going to sign us, then, aren't you?"
but because on top of that, he's nearly the label is nearly sold out fully at the first run, the first pressing run of the album already.
Yeah.
Which is kind of good. Cool. It's pretty good.
Thanks, mate, man.
And it's only been out for 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Yeah.
And it feels like tons.
It feels like a lot. But then again, we've
been since when?
We've been
January.
basically in each other's pockets for almost.
We went to the studio in June.
Longer than months.
Longer than because we've been writing this thing for almost about 18 months. So we've basically been around each other for 18 months and just focusing on this. From my point of view, this album has been my life. This is basically all I've been focused on. So it is just occupied every waking moment. But you know what? It's gone well. and that's all we can ask for, really. It's been received well.
I was going to ask, as experienced musicians, has it been advantageous to the progress of the band to be in town? I think it kind of answers the question.
Well, yeah, it does. It does, because it just kind of reinforces you. It kind of reinforces your name. So if you put in your press pack that we're signed by this label, and then whoever's researching you then checks out that label, it kind of verifies it.
Roster of artists on it, so it's kind of like, I mean, we're not going to be like buying fucking swimming pools and flying away in Lear jets anytime soon, you know what I mean? But what it does do is it opens a few doors in the fact that you've got someone who's ready to invest in you. You know what I mean? And has got other bona fide artists on that he's done the same.
Get them on.
Let's get Flex by.
Get them on. Well, thanks, gents.
Cheers.
Cheers. No problem.